So this couldn't wait until Tuesday. A complete embarrassment by the New York Jets, quite frankly. How are you up 16-0? 16-0 in the third quarter. At the end of the third quarter, you had 4 turnovers on defense, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, a safety, a pick 6. I mean, what else do you have to freaking do to win the game? Kicker, get him off. Live from Sono Entertainment Recording Studios, episode 2 of TEE Time. It is your co-host here, Tiempo.
And EB, other co-host. How are we doing today, everyone?
Yes, unfortunately, that was me on the car ride home from work after watching a brutal Jets loss. Oof. Soon as they got it to 16-8, I knew it was coming. Just no words.
They had it going. They had it going in that first half. The 4 turnovers, Josh Allen, though, looked pretty good, was turning the ball over. I thought the Jets had it. Thought they had it, but
we'll get into a little bit later. EB, why don't you get the show started and let them know what we're talking about today?
Let's kick it off. Well, week 1 was a great week to come into the NFL season. As expected, we knew there was going to be a lot of tempers running high. People were getting excited to be back in the field. A couple dunces here and there that just didn't know what they were doing. The week 1 shakes, if you will. So we're gonna get into everything from the week 1, just kind of highlighting it, kind of going over our picks from last week. We're gonna get into a couple of surprises, aka a couple of rookies that team to put on this week, a couple of receiving rookies, if you will. We're gonna obviously get into why the Jets can't finish, but that's a whole different story for another day.
Story of my life.
Story of your life. We're also going to flip it a little bit. We're going to get into a little bit of NBA today. Last week we talked week 1, and we'll talk obviously week 2 going into tonight and for obviously the Thursday night games and moving forward from there. But we're going to talk a little NBA. Obviously we're going to have to go into Antonio Brown and all that he's bringing to the table, and if he's okay, and we sure hope he is. But we're going to talk a little AB at some point, and then sure enough we're going to finish off a little week 2 and what to expect. And let's get into it, Tommy. Do you want to kick it off, Tiempo?
All right. Let's just peel the Band-Aid off the wound right here.
Rip it off.
That was a complete embarrassment. I mean, 16-0. Le'Veon Bell got it going, did his thing. Defense was on fire in the first half. Mosley picked 6 to open it up. I know that place was rocking early. I just don't know what happened in that third quarter. Mosley went down, and it just seemed like the life in the stadium and the team just was completely gone. I knew once the Bills had it at 16-8, I knew at some point this game was going to get tied up. They got another field goal.
Yep.
Brown on the deep route, burned. Jets defense was just awful.
38-yarder was definitely a dagger in the heart.
I don't even know the poor guy's name. I can't even pronounce Nedvik, whatever the heck his name is. Missed field goal, missed extra point. That's the difference right there.
Yep.
Jets could have been 1-0 easy. Could have gone into week 2, tied with the Pats in the division, but unfortunately now we got a deflated Browns squad, which we'll transition to now. I mean, what was that, Baker Mayfield? Tennessee Titans, you lose by 30 points.
Oof. Did they ever? And it wasn't even like an inspiring win. They came out in the first drive looking somewhat decent. Odell Beckham thought he was looking flash in the watch with the Richard Amelia.
Take the watch off and just play some football. Play some sport.
And which, by the way, I don't know if you saw, but he said he's not taking it off, moving it to next week. But we can get into that next week when the NFL looks to penalize him of some sort. But I mean, like as we said last week, they put a lot of hype around the Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield in specific, and he didn't quite deliver. And I think we kind of both had that hot take last week that it wasn't going to be the case. And we hope that they can kind of do something next week. I mean, I don't think you do because they're going to be playing the Jets week 2 on Monday night.
That's a must-win game for both teams. I mean, if either of those teams goes to 0-2, their season's on the line pretty much.
Yeah.
Jets have a tough stretch with playing the Pats twice, Cowboys and Eagles.
Of course.
Browns are still
got the Steelers,
Ravens.
Yep. Exactly. And let's get into the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, the perfect passer rating, youngest quarterback to have a perfect passer rating.
Jeez,
a hell of a game. I'm sorry.
Granted, they're playing Norwalk High out there in the Miami Dolphins, which is a complete. I don't even know what they're doing on the field.
To quote you, dumpster fire last week.
Oh yeah, I seen that one coming. They got players requesting trades
immediately after the game.
After week 1. I mean,
that says a lot. Yeah. That says a lot about not only the upper echelon of management there, but kind of cascading down.
And granted, I didn't know much about Brian Flores, but, you're a defensive coordinator in New England, but really Bill Belichick's calling all the shots there. You're kind of just a pawn
Yep.
in that, and you're just coaching the guys on, like, you're not calling any plays. You don't have any say in that defense. So that was an interesting hire by them, and I think they're right now tanking for Tua right now.
Seemingly. And to get to that point, actually, Bill Belichick in his coaching tree, Matt Patricia didn't have a great start of the season last year with the Detroit Lions. And unfortunately, playing this week against the Arizona Cardinals, he couldn't finish it.
I know.
Playing
They
a rookie
had the
quarterback,
game in the bag,
head coach.
24-8 in the
They had it in
fourth
the bag.
quarter.
Perfectly said. They had it in the bag. But I got to say, Kyler Murray looked, as you would say, deflated. Second half, making passes like you wouldn't
totally
believe.
different QB.
Totally different QB. And it looked poised in the pocket, kind of moved around. A couple perfect dimes thrown to Larry Fitzgerald, which got me a little excited to see him, in year 15 or 16 now, that he's still got it pretty much. Still got it. He's still a machine, Can catch, any given Sunday, can catch, 7 balls and over 100 yards and a touchdown or two. It's fun to watch.
You even saw a pulse from David Johnson finally, nice touchdown catch, got some nice scrimmage yardage.
You had to expect it, coming off full year of playing off the injury, now getting into a second year, he's going to play a lot more comfortable, a little more confident. Oof.
Let's get into last night's game, which I think was the most exciting game of the week.
Talking Saints, Texans, right? Yeah, 100%.
Deshaun Watson looked right back where he was before that injury last year. Hopkins, sensational always. How about that catch by Will Fuller? I mean, how
did he behind the guy? Pretty much deep ball, great play, heck of a play. But I got to say, Deshaun Watson got hit a little too much. It's not sustainable at his age, unfortunately. It's going to be looking like an Andrew Luck in 6 years when he's...
And I was high on the Texans this season, but, there were some questionable calls in that last drive right there. There's a lot of room for Ted Ginn to catch that pass and get out of bounds and really set them up in field position.
Exactly.
How about this for a stat last night? J.J. Watt did not record a tackle, not a sack, not a batted pass, nothing.
Did not leave his imprint in the game.
Nothing.
You think he's regressing a little bit?
I don't know.
That's curious.
Maybe people are queuing in on him and kind of taking him out the equation, but for an all-pro
two-time defensive player of the year, I mean, that's lacking.
Unheard of. Yeah. You should fall down and get 2 tackles.
Quite literally. And they didn't have Jadeveon Clowney, so that's another one that didn't have the formidable line that they had in years past.
I mean, granted, we knew that was going to be shootout. I think on the prediction last week, I said it was going to be 38-31, and it was 30-28. So
something like that.
Right
there.
Yeah.
And Will Lutz, that heck of a boot he had at the end there, 58-yarder.
That would have been good from 65, man.
Let me say, Drew Brees, if I want a quarterback that's got my team with under a minute to go, and he's got to drive down Drew Brees 100% of the way. I love my Phillip Rivers as my quarterback. That's my quarterback, but Drew Brees was at 1.2 when I was a young Charger fan. That's my quarterback. Out to UTO. But Drew Brees, what a great orchestrated final drive. Deshaun, probably a little bit of a morale booster for him. Deshaun Watson is going downfield under a minute to go, scoring the touchdown to go up.
I thought they had it.
But then Drew Brees gets the ball back in 30 seconds. It did all, work magic. So hats off to Drew Brees. Nice shot for the Saints coming out week 1 and getting that W.
Should we even spend time talking about the Pats? I mean,
we'll get around to it because we got the whole Antonio Brown saga to get into, so we'll get around to that. But of course, we want to touch base on my Chargers because we went to overtime and we got the W.
It was a close one.
It was the first time that I actually felt comfortable going into an overtime watching a Charger game. Can't tell how many times I would watch and be sitting on the edge of my seat, saying to myself, this is it. This is how you are as a Jet fan, a little pessimistic at time, all the time.
Yeah.
But there was something about Sunday. I was saying to myself, Philly Rivers has got this. Austin Eckler's already got 2 touchdowns. I can see him getting that third, and sure enough, the 7-yarder to ice the game. So I was very happy to see that. I didn't like how they let up a little bit. There was a couple times there I thought they let off the gas just a little bit. That Malik Hooker interception in the back of the end zone.
Man.
Oh, that's got to go down as catch of the year. It's going to be the catch of the year. It's got to be. There's no other one that could come close. Maybe that Will Fuller one this week, but heck of a catch. But luckily, my Chargers were able to kind of take the prize home and get the W there.
How about that tying touchdown from T.Y. Hilton, man? That was a play.
I know. Jacoby Brissett, I got to say, no one gave him a lot of credit, but he wasn't bad at all.
I told you last week.
Yeah, he had it.
The Colts aren't going to be the team they were with Andrew Luck, but Jacoby Brissett is a decent fill-in.
Good enough.
He's not a scrub.
Good enough. That's all you need to be in the NFL. It's good enough sometimes. And if you have enough players around you.
Look at that division now. Jacksonville we were high on last week. Yep. Now Fultz is out an extended period of time. So
that Minshew he did play pretty well though. He won 8 for 8 to start the coming out. It wasn't horrible.
But with the Texans losing and the Jags losing too, that division's wide open.
Wide open. And Marlon Mack ran like a monster. What was it? He looking it up right now. 25 attempts, 174 yards. He averaged 7 yards per carry. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
that's not sustainable, but it's a very nice stat line. Then again, Colts they did a good job of beefing up that offensive line with just players here, there, and everywhere. So you got to give it to him.
Yeah,
Like
Quentin
Ginkley, I think
Nelson's
it was.
probably
Quentin
the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Best offensive lineman in the league, I'd say.
I'd say up there.
Already in year 2?
Year 2. Talking about another good offensive line. How about them Dallas Cowboys?
Oh,
How about them Cowboys?
That was a steamroll.
That was a steamroll. But they play the Giants. I would love to see how they do next week.
The Giants offense held their own in the first half or so, I'd say.
Yep.
Cowboys just came out. You can't let Dak Prescott throw for 400 yards.
4 touchdowns. No.
Their secondary is horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Jabril Peppers, I didn't even hear his name all day. Where was he? They didn't really have Zeke for a full game. They were kind of easing him into the offense, and it was just, Randall Cobb had over 100 yards.
Yeah, exactly. Gallup had over
Gallup had over
58
100
yards. He averaged 22 yards a catch. Zeke seems like a little slower in his step, and I don't know if that was because he didn't have a full training camp to his name. But he looked a little slower at times. I mean, granted, he still averaged 4 yards per carry, but he did look a little slower on the back burner there.
And to be fair, that game, what was the final score? Like 35-17, something like that.
Exactly.
Dallas stopped after the third quarter. They had 500 yards of offense, and they could have easily kept going, but
And it was good to see Daniel Jones get in the end of the game there.
That was a little interesting to me because I don't know, first game of the season, granted, get him some experience, but week 1 now you're going to hear all these Giants fans
up in arms.
Now they want to see him. Eli has a bad game next week versus the Bills. They're going to be calling for Daniel Jones to start week 3. So that was a little interesting, but
I can agree with that. I can agree wait until week 8 to unroll Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Let him get kind of comfortable with how the offense should be ran by an Eli Manning who's been there for very long, and then and then be able to implement it from there.
And when Kurt Warner was the QB for the Giants, Eli waited till I think they started in week 9.
Yeah.
So it's like
we're halfway through the season. You got to give him let Eli do his thing and give him some breathing room, so to speak. I mean, he threw for 300 some odd yards. So
he looked decent, especially without Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard now has a concussion. So targets diminishing, but Ingram caught a pass in the for a touchdown.
Yep.
So.
Which a lot of fantasy owners, I'm sure, happy because he was in that second tier of tight ends with Hunter Henry and O.J. Howard. So it's good to see Evan Ingram doing something there.
Yeah, it was interesting, too, that Saquon Barkley only got 15 touches the whole game. I mean, granted, it was kind of a blowout. You're going to be throwing when you're trailing, but
11 touches.
11 touches.
But he ran for 120 yards. He averaged 10 yards per carry. But that's because he came out and ran 58 yards in the first drive, the first carry of the game. So, I mean, I'm sure that helped. Or 59 yards, I'm sorry. So it certainly helps there. So just once again, what a great week. And so many good rookie receivers that came out this year. I was surprised to see a Hollywood Brown, a T.J. Hawkinson do something. Josh Jacobs last night rushing like he was Marshall Faulk or something, or rushing like he had a head of steam going on him. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I saw a stat this morning that Josh Jacobs is the first rookie running back to rush for 2 touchdowns and 100 yards per scrimmage since LaDainian Tomlinson. So keeping it out in the AFC West there. That's pretty cool. I mean, my hat's off to Josh Jacobs. We kind of had a feeling he was going to be a pretty stout runner coming in.
Yeah, it took him second round in there.
Carrying people with him, doing a little Marshawn Lynch. But, no Marshawn Lynch there now, but they got a pretty good replacement, if you will.
How about that, man? We, with all that AB stuff and, we were talking about the Raiders are going to be the worst team in the league. How about them shutting us up and winning that game in Denver?
Yeah. Did they ever? 24-16 was that final score last night. I got to tell you, I was in bed way before that game even started. I wasn't even going to take a chance to look at that one.
After the Saints.
I would look at me exactly. There was no. I mean, come on. I mean, that's just unfortunate that we're not West Coasters or even middle of America where we can actually stay up a little longer to say that. But no, I'm good. I don't need to see that AFC West matchup. That's just not for me. But I did like that they had 2 Monday night games. That was a nice little change of pace. I thought that was pretty cool. They've done that in years past. I think it's good for football, just to kind of spread the games out, so you're not
I like that 7
Sunday.
o'clock start. Yeah, I think that should be every Monday night, but that's just me.
That's just you, and we're not. What are we gonna get? We're nobodies, and we're a couple rooks out here, so it's not gonna happen for us. But that was definitely some fun to watch. I'm looking at next week's, and we'll get to obviously the picks, but it's interesting how there's only 3 games at 4 o'clock, 1 8 o'clock game, and one Monday night game, and there's got to be a handful. I mean, the rest of the games are all at 1 o'clock, so it doesn't really make much sense that you're going to go so front heavy. I don't know. You can spread them out a little bit. You know what I mean? make the West Coast games, and so you're not jam packed with 10 or 12 games for 1 o'clock that us as casual fans have to try to watch, and we're freaking out. We're getting anxious because we're trying to. Oh, is that person doing fantasy there? Oh, what's Le'Veon doing?
Yeah.
So spread it out a little bit. Come on, NFL, help us out here. So there we are. And so getting back to those rookies, Hollywood Brown from Oklahoma. Put on. That man put on. I mean, the Ravens as a whole put on.
Yeah, 33 fantasy points. What was the first 2 catches of his career? He had,
yards.
What was it, 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he told you he was going to be. And if I'm not mistaken, he's just related to Antonio Brown, right?
I believe so. Or there might be another Brown coming out. Or maybe it is him.
I think they're cousins or relatives of some sort. But
hey, 4 receptions, 147 yards, averaging 36 yards per catch. Hey, dude, keep doing your thing. 59 points they put up on him. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, we knew Miami was a dumpster fire, but that's a lot. Getting to this other guy, I keep mentioning TJ Hawkinson. That was the top 10 tight end pick for Detroit
on my
Lions.
bench last week,
sitting on your well, you had to expect you were going to have a couple of those this year. And that's unfortunate. That game ended in a tie. But, that's another guy that came out over 100 yards, played like he had something to prove. More power to him for doing it, What was his final stat line? I think he threw he caught for over 131 yards. So, impressive for these rookies. It's a good rookie class coming out here this year. Really good rookie class.
All these rookies are transitioning very well into that high-flying offensive, kind of
mold.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone's trying to replicate like Pat Mahomes, run and gun, the air raid offense.
Speaking of Mahomes, looks like he's picked up right where he left off last year. 3 TDs,
Well, what's funny? That halfway through the game he got injured. He looked like he twisted the ankle, rolled the ankle, sprained the ankle, I think he came out as. I got a little. I don't want to say happy because I don't wish poorly upon I don't wish injury upon anybody. But as a Charger fan, I was a little like, hey, well, maybe that's an opening door for us to win the AFC West.
Yeah, well, you got Tyreek Hill out for a few weeks now, so maybe you can pick up some ground there.
Maybe.
But I don't know. The burner, Sammy Watkins, 49 fantasy points. What a ridiculous.
He was sitting in a lot of benches this week too.
Yeah. Eight catches, 198 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Who saw that coming?
Nobody.
That's like his season stat line every year.
Yeah, literally. It's just exactly right. Because he can't stay healthy, poor guy, So I guess more power to him. Tyreek Hill's going to be out for some period of time. I don't think we have a timetable on him yet, so someone's got to step up and do it. And why not be Sammy Watkins? He was he was a first round pick coming out of was it Clemson a bunch of years back?
Buffalo.
But right to Buffalo. Which let me say, Clemson's got some pretty good wide receivers coming out.
Yeah,
they always do. Every year they got someone coming
Sammy
out left
Watkins,
and right. DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, Artavis Scott. You probably don't even know who that is, but he led Clemson in receptions. So I mean, it's another guy that's out there in the world. So just once again, great week 1. I'm pretty happy with how it went, and we'll see what week 2 holds for us. But let's keep it going. Let's keep it flipping. So I know we talked early in the monologue that we would look to get into a little bit of NBA. So here we are. I know we're a few weeks out from NBA, but I'm a big NBA fan. You're a big NBA fan.
Yeah.
I'm sure
2K
the listeners.
Just dropped,
2K just dropped. I don't know if you got it, but 2K20, I've been playing it. I think I already dedicated about 15 hours of my time to it. I'm not ashamed to say that. Not ashamed to say that. And I got a couple topics for you, So we're going to go through the best big 3, best big 4. If you want to go big 2 as well, we can do a little bit of that. Go a little bit NBA superlatives, who your early picks are for MVP, defensive player of the year, that kind of thing. We'll go from there. So let's get right into it. So NBA, who do you have as one of your top big 3 players? Or what is your best big 3?
Well, I'm a little biased. So.
Of course. Well, that's a big. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's a big 2 because being a Net fan, that's a big 2.
It's a big if for me. Obviously, if KD's healthy, or comes back at some point this year, Kyrie, KD, and Karis LeVert are right up there in the big 3 discussion. People sleep on LeVert. Go look up that dude's stats. That dude is a beast. He carried the Nets at some points in the playoffs season when
he was putting up points in the playoffs against the Sixers.
Love D'Lo, but he's hot or cold. So LeVert was definitely there after a big injury to come back and play the way he did. But mentioning D'Lo, big 3. I mean, how can you not go with Klay, Steph, and D'Lo? That's going to be 23 pointers between them every single night. Mm-hmm. Really going to open up the floor. Yeah. Interesting to see when Klay comes back too. That's going to be a big if. But
well, because as of right now, I guess you would slot Draymond in that 3, and then when Klay comes back, then you got a big 4. Yeah. So I get a little time to. But how is that offense going to work, or how is that court going to work for him? Who's going to be the starting 5? Is it going to be Draymond playing at the center? You're going to put
Klay at the 3, maybe.
I guess so. And then who'd you have at the 4? I guess you'd put whatever Johnny Pencil pusher they had that came out that year kind of thing.
Whoever they have on the roster.
Whoever they have on the roster at the time. A couple big threes. If we're going to talk big fours, I'm going to go with my squad, the 76ers. So you got Horford, Embiid, Tobias, Ben Simmons, of course. And if you even want to put Jay Rich in there, I think Jay Rich is going to be nice. He averaged 16.6 points last season.
Yeah.
Heck of a player, heck of a shooting guard. I'm a little curious how Horford and Embiid are going to play with each other, just for the fact the 4 and 5.
That's interesting too, because you had Tobias at the 4 last year, so
and that's his natural position.
Is he going to transfer to that swingman 3
Yep.
position now, or are they going to kind of, have Embiid in at some points and have Horford in at some
stagger
points?
the minutes almost? Yeah.
Interesting to see. Saw a lot of videos of Ben Simmons this summer. Jumpers looking better than it has been, but again, until I see it in an NBA game, I can't believe it.
Of course, but exactly, he's playing in an open gym somewhere out in LA, having a good old time with his buddies, and Joakim Noah and Dave Booker. But he looks confident shooting it. It's not like he's not hesitating. He's still got that elbow popped out. You're not sure if he's supposed to be shooting with the left or the right, but he's taking the shot, and that's all. As a Sixer fan, that's all we could ask for, because there were so many times that you're left at the top of the key with no one guarding you. Just take the shot. You have 20 seconds left on the shot clock. Just take the damn shot, because you're wide open. You know what I mean? So hopefully coming into season 3 for him, I guess you'd say season 3, even though it's season 4 that he redshirted the first year. He actually does that a little bit more so, and I think he will. I don't think he's going to be averaging 40% from distance or range, but I'd like to see him at,
You can hit one every once in a while when you need it. We're not asking you to shoot the 3, but
just
if you're wide open,
shot.
you should hit it.
At least shoot it from 15.
Yeah.
Shoot it from 15 to 20. You know what I mean? You don't have to look for the 30 footer, but you shoot it from 20 feet out. A couple other low key big twos, and you could argue if they got a big 3 on their team. Dame and CJ. I think Dame Lillard is one of the more underrated.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
Dame,
you named your cat after Dame.
Yeah, I think Dame's the most underrated point guard in the league, to be honest. A lot of people don't see his games when they're out there at 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, but he's an electrifying player. He's hits the big shots, does everything. CJ McCollum's an awesome, guard
Shooting
right there with him.
Guard, yeah.
So, kind of remind me of a little younger John Wall and Bradley Beal type.
Yep.
A
healthy.
healthy.
Nothing on John Wall, but John Wall can't stay healthy.
No.
But at least Dame Lillard, I mean, he single-handedly destroyed OKC. They look at this offseason was the total, it's who's OKC's starting 5 going to be this year? I can name you probably 2 players. Steve Adams is going to be their number 1, their go-to threat. Who is a great player, don't get me wrong, but Danilo Gallinari is going to be another 2 there, so that's another one. Interesting dynamics going into that.
They're going to be searching for ping pong balls next year, so
which is fine. They have a lot of assets. They got a lot of first round picks.
Dude, was it 19 picks over the next 5 drafts or something, 6 drafts, something like that.
You're bound to have a couple of keepers in that, they got a king's ransom, I guess you can call it, for dealing Paul George.
Yeah.
Which I think Clippers are going to be a heck of a team next year. I mean, my top 5 favorite players, I got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in there. Yeah. So to see the LA Clippers do that, which they're always the stepchild of LA, I'm happy to see they got those 2 big name players.
I feel you. I know what it is being the stepchild to the Knicks, kind of in a sense. What have they done in the last 20 years?
Well, what have the Knicks done in the last 20 years? Yeah. They don't have Patrick Ewing anymore. They can't do much anymore. So,
going back to that, if you were to have pick the best 2 stars on a team, would you take LeBron and AD, or would you take Kawhi and Paul George?
Kawhi and Paul George. Yeah. Not even think twice about it. Not even thinking twice about it.
I still think, LeBron was hurt last year, but at the end of the day, I think he's still the best player in the NBA.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Not at all, because LeBron is LeBron James, and he's going to take those clutch shots. He's going to make those clutch shots. Anthony Davis can now defer that. He doesn't have to be that guy that takes that final second shot. You got LeBron James doing it for you.
Yeah, but LeBron said that he talked to the Lakers coaching staff and upper office, and he said that he wanted the offense to be focused mostly around AD. So I think that's going to take a lot off LeBron. He doesn't have to create his own shot anymore. He doesn't have to be the facilitator. You still have Rondo for that, and LeBron can kind of, lay back a little, play a little more defense, and not exhaust all his energy and stuff on, offense every single possession.
And especially in the first 2 quarters. But now to that point, if we're just going 2-on-2, who would you rather have, AD, LeBron, or would you have Paul George and Kawhi?
That's a tough one.
It's next to impossible, because obviously
those are 2 of the best defenders in the league, and
awkward matchups there too.
Paul George and Kawhi.
Exactly.
That'd be a really interesting game.
That's a very interesting game. But if we're going starting 5 and the dynamics that include it, I'm gonna have to go with the Clippers. I think the Clippers have a better starting five because you're so top heavy with Paul George and Kawhi. I have to say his name in full. I can't just say Paul or George. I gotta say, or PG. I gotta say Paul George.
Still got Beverly.
You still got Landry Shamet, who's going to be a great shooting guard. You got Montrezl Harrell, who's another one of those great, just all-around players, a little utility player. He can put up 20 points, but he can also grab you 15 boards kind of thing.
Yeah.
Decent defensive. And as you said, Patrick Beverly, he single-handedly was a menace to KD last year, and it was fun to see a little bit.
Getting his head a little bit.
But on the flip side, the Lakers obviously having Danny Green, I think that's a great shooting guard they picked up from Toronto, or they got over in free agency. Rajon Rondo, I think, which is kind of funny because I still think that LeBron James is stepping into that point guard position. It's like an awkward fit because he's in year 16 now that he's going to be that point guard.
Yeah, he's going to have the ball.
Mostly.
But at the same time, you have someone to fall back on that's not, if LeBron's not in the game, it doesn't mean no one can handle the ball.
Sure. Well, then you got Dwight Howard at the center, and you could put AD at the 4 if you wanted to, or vice versa. You could put, but I don't know. I'm curious to see how they.
Let's see if Dwight Howard stays on the team first before we get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, you're not kidding. So I guess let's get into a little bit in that. As far as that goes, let's get to our teams because we're both in the Atlantic Division.
Yes,
who do you think's coming out? Who do you think's as far as the East goes? Who do you think's coming out in the Eastern Conference? Give me your top 5 picks.
Top 5. I think,
or give me top 4 if you will, whatever you're comfortable with.
I think regardless if KD comes back or not, the Nets are going to be one of those top 4 teams. I put them at 4 because you're not really missing much. You kind of swapped Kyrie for D'Lo. You still have Joe Harris, Karis LeVert. We got DeAndre Jordan. Still got Dinwiddie on the bench. See if Kurucs plays. He just got arrested for assaulting his girlfriend apparently. But
which now is interesting that they have a great budding star at center, Jared Allen.
Yes.
Now you're gonna put it back on the bench and kind of, I guess I hate to say, screw up his flight path or his growth. All because you got DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see DeAndre Jordan switch to the 4, move to the 4, have him coming off the bench.
You could do that too. I was looking at a stat the other day that Jared Allen was, I think it was 23% more efficient with D'Lo on the bench and Spencer Dinwiddie handling the ball at the point. So I think maybe they might look at that connection. They had a lot of alley-oops, a lot of easy buckets. So maybe they're looking at that, coming off the bench as a strength. Also been hearing swirling talks about Melo possibly joining the team. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. If it does, I don't know how I feel about that. Either way, he's not going to start. He would be coming off the bench.
Sure.
But
well, you'd hope
if he would agree to that, and he understood that, I think that'd be okay, but I don't want him in there to disrupt, young culture there and, what we're trying to do as a team.
Yep. But to that point, that statistic you just brought up, D'Lo is, I guess, cut 2 is just scoring. He's a great scorer, where Dinwiddie's an all-around facilitator. Yeah. So obviously a stat like that would make sense because Dinwiddie would just dish the ball off or, look to pass the ball, move the rock around a little bit more so where D'Lo would just ISO, back, ISO, just pop left, and make the shot, So it's, that makes sense a little bit more so. So who would you put, if you were to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seed out of the East, who would you put at 1?
I think I have to go the Sixers, man.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be right there. I would flip a coin between them and the Bucks.
Yep. It's a toss-up.
Obviously, Giannis is, LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis, I think, are the top 3 players in the NBA. And that'll be interesting. Brook Lopez came back. They re-signed Middleton, so we'll see. Who else did they just grab too?
Well, they lost Malcolm Brogdon, which I think is going to be it's going to be tough for them. I think that's not going to work well for them because Malcolm Brogdon was another one of those. It's a spacer. They built that Bucks team around Giannis, and Giannis doing whatever he wants. So if he drives in, he can kick the ball to Malcolm Brogdon, who's a pretty decent 3-point shooter. Now he's over in Indiana. Now I think Indiana is going to be one of those top 3
that's
seeds.
Another team too. They're right there last year. They finished right above the Nets, and I think they're going to be right back there. Oladipo's a beast. I think that was a big mistake on the Thunder's part for getting rid of him. Yeah, they had to do what they had to do, but
their track record's skeptical. I don't know if you saw what Kevin Durant came out and said that he. Whatever, I forgot. I don't know. I can't quote it verbatim because I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was around the lines that I don't mess with the OKC franchise. I don't talk to anybody inside those doors. They're a little shady, this, that, and the other thing.
Well, look at all that stuff with, even with Golden State. He has love for the team, but it's like him and Draymond got into it, and then it was kind of just like all his teammates on Golden State found out on social media that he was leaving. So it's kind of
Which now I think it was Josh Hart, which he's a 6th-tier person or 8th-tier person. He's not really high up in the echelon in the NBA, but he even came out saying the Lakers did him dirty in the trade where he found out via Twitter. And that is unfortunate that NBA is so in flux and everything just changed like that. You could be picked up and dropped in an afternoon.
Yeah. So who do you think out of these young upcoming teams? Who do you Hawks, Pelicans? Yep. You got any sleepers for this year that might sneak in on the bottom or?
You might laugh at me for saying this. I think the Knicks may be okay depending on how RJ Barrett plays out. Solely because of RJ Barrett, they have more than enough guards in that team that I don't know what they're doing with them.
I think they got 8 power forwards.
They got enough guards to go ahead and staff the security entrance here. You know what I mean? So, Pelicans, I think are going to do very well because of JJ Redick, and you got Zion. I think Zion's going to be out a little slow.
I got my boy J. Rue Holiday still.
Exactly, which is a great player. Lonzo Ball, it is what it is.
Get what you get from him.
You get what you get, pretty much. I think Zion's going to come out a little slow, though. As far as rookies and rookie teams, I think he needs to get his weight under a little bit. He looked like he was carrying a lot of weight in a couple of the training camp practices that I witnessed or I looked at. So a curious case of the spooks for him going on there. A couple of sleeper teams, Hawks. I think the Hawks are going to be a heck of a good team.
John Saunders is a really good player.
Yep.
Trae Young's going to come into his own this year. I think
Lloyd Pierce is a great player development coach, and they have a very young team. Kevin Huerter is a heck of a 3-point shooter. Trae Young is a great all-around player. He kind of gets under my skin a little bit because he's that good. He has that demeanor about him.
Got that little cocky swag.
To him. But they have a heck of a team. I have to say they have a heck of a team, and I could see them being in that top 8 seeds maybe in 2 years, maybe not quite yet.
Yeah.
Let him get I think DeAndre Hunter is going to be a good pick that pans out for him.
Yeah, that was a really good pick. I'm surprised he fell that far.
Cam Reddish too, so we'll see how that all plays out. So if I had to pick one team in particular, I'd probably have to go with the Atlanta Hawks in that sense. Yeah.
All right.
For the most part. Something interesting, a little fun here. NBA superlatives. Do you have any sleepers for MVP this year?
MVP. I think it's going to be Giannis again, honestly. There's now that all these duos are teaming up, I think it's going to be really hard to definitively get
one person to stick out.
Yeah,
on that team.
Harden's always in that MVP conversation, but realistically, him and Russ, I don't know how that's going to work out. They're both ball hogs. They both want to shoot the whole game. I think they just extended Eric Gordon too, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
So that's going to be a crowded, guard position there, and I feel like it's not going to be a lot of shots for everyone. Someone's bound to get unhappy at some point.
It's inevitable.
Speaking of that, CP3, I forgot he's even on the Thunder. They didn't trade him. They didn't plan on doing.
They plan on keeping him. I can see him getting moved before the trade deadline.
Yeah, definitely. He'll go to a contender.
Exactly. But that contract is so heavy that I can't see any team wanting to give up the money for it. There was
not even the Knicks wanted to give up money for him.
No, and
that's saying a lot. I
saw a bunch of articles and analysts saying that the Sixers should trade Ben Simmons for CP3. Oh, I'm so happy they didn't because Ben Simmons is a young player that's got the world that is.
CP3 is a good player. He's past his prime.
He's past his prime. I could see him going to LA, but there's no way that he can because just due to the cap salary, he's gonna have to stay on
NBA
OKC.
already blocked the Lakers trade once, so
yeah, I could see that happening again. Yeah, that's super fair. So I'm surprised. Really looking forward to the NBA starting because there's always some narrative. It's every night there's a game. There's always something to look forward to. I can't wait.
You know who I got for a sleeper for MVP this year too?
Who's that?
Jokic from the
Nuggets. Nikola. Yeah.
That dude is a double machine. Hits threes,
he's a triple-double machine.
Oh my god,
he does everything. Some of his passes are so on cue. Like that one, he rebounded through it 70 feet down to his guy that was under the hoopy on the other end.
Yeah,
he's got some incredible court vision. Which, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say he's on Serbia, the FIBA team. They just got upsetted. I'm not mistaken by France. I want to say or Spain. So interesting.
Can't say I've paid attention to much of that.
I'm looking at it intermittently. I'm just looking to see how
USA roster is very underwhelming. To be honest,
yeah, half their team is the Boston Celtics.
Yeah,
which I think Boston Celtics are going to be. I don't see them being. I could see the Nets finishing better than them in the East.
I think they'll be neck and neck. Kemba Walker and Gordon Hayward. I think that's a good combo.
Sure.
Kemba's a very team player, and he just got tired of losing in Charlotte. So had to get out of there. But I think, Brad Stevens really got questioned last year, I think.
A little bit.
You know,
A
he
little
hadn't
bit.
really had that pressure on him. I felt like they were losing, and he kind of felt the heat towards towards the end of the season.
Which it could have been because of Kyrie a little bit too. I think he's one of those who's in and out of the roster all season. In and out of the lineup all season.
Yeah.
Which you want to have that sustainability to be able to kind of grow upon it and keep going with
Yeah.
it. So him in and out of the lineup was kind of a little tough.
I think Kyrie got a little frustrated too because Gordon Hayward went to the same college that Coach Stevens coached at.
Was that Gonzaga or no? It was what team was that? That was
Butler.
Butler. Yeah, there you go.
Duke beat him in the championship. But
Side note, spark note.
I think that he really tried to force feed a little bit Hayward,
Mm-hmm.
and my money on it, I'm taking Kyrie over Hayward any day. Or I think Kyrie's an all-around better player. You should be focusing your offense around him and letting him create plays. And I just think at first in the beginning of the season there was a little tension trying to
Feel it out.
kind of be who's going to be the alpha dog
Yep.
type. So
Yeah, and I think Jason Tatum could have a better season this year now that Kyrie's not there.
I
Jason
think
Tatum is
all those guys will.
kind of step their game up. Jaylen Brown as well, and his cancer. I mean, he's a pretty good offensive weapon
Yeah.
as well.
And loss of Rozier too. That's
pretty big.
that's depth in the backcourt that after Hayward and Kyrie come out, who you got Smart and
They have a couple random guys out there that
Yeah.
have like some crazy names that I couldn't
So-
even pronounce on a good day. You
Yeah.
know, so I'm curious to see how they pan out. Obviously, they're going to win games, like you said. They have Brad Stevens. That in of itself, he's going to be in contention for Coach of the Year every single year, just because he has that respect. He's young, but he's got that respect that people look for. So I could see them contending every single year. If I had to give you my getting back, I hate to keep backtracking to this, but if I had to give you my 5-4 coming out of the East, like you said, I'm going to go with Sixers. I'm going to go with Bucks at 2. I'm going to go with Indiana Pacers at 3. And then I'm going to go with, I want to say the Nets at 4 and Celtics at 5. And that's interchangeable.
yeah. I agree.
Another team in the East that I can see falling off that's going to be very disappointing is the Heat. I could see the Heat being an 8-9 seed contending. But they got Jimmy Butler. Then again, he's going to be the main go-to threat there.
Raptors won't be relevant for a few years, so we can take them out the playoff discussion.
Pascal Siakam's a great player. I think he's going to be the number one threat or go-to player.
Yeah.
Van Fleet is maybe the 2. Who knows? Marcus Gasol. I mean,
Can't go into a season with your best player being Kyle Lowry, so
no.
we all know how that turns out.
Yeah, he gets paid a
Maybe
lot.
they'll get the Rosen back. You never know.
Yeah, could you imagine? I saw something the other day that actually said that the Heat may be interested in DeMar DeRozan and making a splash for him, which would be interesting. You have like a Tyler Hero,
Everyone's
G.
trying
Butler,
to. Everyone's trying to get that.
3.
Yeah.
You just got to have 3. But then it sacrifices your back end. If you have a great 3 like Steph, Clay, and KD, then you can have you, me, and the other guy sitting at the 6, 7, and 8 spot. But in their case, if you have good enough players, you can make it happen no matter what.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. So who do you have as Rookie of the Year going into the NBA this year?
I'm gonna go Ja Morant.
Ja Morant.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, I don't think the Grizzlies are going to be that great of a team, but I think he's a baller. He's going to show out. I think he's going to be averaging close to a double-double a game. Really good passer coming out of college, very underrated school, but, you saw what he did in the tournament last year.
He put the team on his back a bunch of times. Yeah, you're not kidding. That's a very good pick at obviously
And
the
for
2 overall pick.
And for the fact that the Grizzlies moved Mike Conley, which has been a solid franchise piece for them for all these years, that's saying that they have full trust in this guy taking over the keys and being the leader of that team.
Isn't that something? A young kid to be tasked with that big of a bill. Hey, more power to him. I think he's going to live up to it. I think that's a great pick. As far as other Rookie of the Years, you could see Tyler Hero. I think is another one that could be in there. I have a good idea about him. Now, as far as the Defensive Player of the Year, more or less Defensive Rookie of the Year, I got a couple names for you. I want you to kind of fire back at me, see how you feel. Obviously, I'm going to go with Matisse Thybulle because he was the Naismith Player of the Year last year for Defensive Player. Led the country in steals and blocks for his position. Another name though, Rui Hachimura or Hachimura Gonzaga. He gave Duke such a headache in those games last year. He pretty much single-handedly, I had to say single-handedly, but he was orchestrated a lot of that in that W early in the season against Duke last year when they had all 3 of their good players.
I actually wanted the Nets to draft him, but they kept trading back to get some assets on draft night. But he was high on my board that late first round. I think he's 6'10", 6'11".
Late lottery pick, I guess you could say too. No, he was. And I got a good feeling about him as a player. It's unfortunate he's on the Wizards. Where's that going to go?
Yeah.
But sleeper pick, random pick, I could see him doing a lot of stuff. So I'm curious to see how that goes. Another one, Cam Johnson. I'm curious to see how his 3-point plays out because he was, I guess you could say, the best shooter coming out of the college basketball last year. So looking forward to seeing a lot of these players. Who do you have going for Defensive Player of the Year, though? Because I know Anthony Davis just came out recently and said that he wants to get Defensive Player of the Year. He wants him and LeBron to be all defensive team, first team. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, all NBA first team as well. So do you think you got AD up in that defensive slot?
Yeah, that's my pick. I think he has this whole new mindset now with LeBron that he's motivated more, that he's going to actually be winning games and not kind of, just showing up for the Pelicans fans
just for a paycheck
and go freaking 38 and 42 every year. They had that one playoff run with who they beat, the Blazers or something.
Yeah,
they swept them. It was him and Boogie, but
and then
I would have liked them to stay together. And then if you had Zion come in there,
they are together now again, but they're just Boogie's now injured on the Lakers, so it's like not much different than the Pelicans in that sense.
Yeah, and has a warrant out for his arrest, but
he's got a warrant. Yeah, poor guy. He just wanted his kid to go with him to his wedding. Joel Embiid could be another one of those Defensive Player of the Years. And I know Rudy Gobert's won the last 2 years, so you're looking at a center mostly because that is what makes the biggest impact when it comes to the paint and defensive playing. Joel Embiid, I hate to be biased being a Sixer fan, but whoever he plays, the only person he had trouble with is Al Horford, who's now on our team.
Yeah.
Now, I could see that kind of stifling his
stat.
His stat,
he's not the only big guy in the middle, so there's going to be someone else grabbing boards
kind of pull
and blocking shots.
Exactly. Yeah. But I can still see him putting up big numbers, not only offensively, but then defensively with a block or two a game, a couple steals here and there and everywhere. So that's really, I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
Who you got in the finals?
Who do I have in the finals? I'm going to go the Clippers in the West, Sixers in the East.
All right.
Sixers in 6.
I'm going to go with the Bucks. I'm going to go with the Warriors.
Okay.
I think somehow the Warriors are going to make it back. D'Lo, maybe they trade him midseason for something. Mm-hmm. Maybe Klay Thompson comes back a little earlier than later.
Yep.
But they have that championship mentality. I think, when you look at all those teams in the West,
the pedigree,
the Jazz are definitely the team that's going to be, not the Jazz. The Nuggets are definitely that team that's going to be competing with them.
They're going to win the most games, regular season games.
I think the Lakers, Jazz are kind of in that same tier, but ultimately, who's stopping Steph Curry when in the playoffs? There's
injury bug. That's the only thing I can think that could slow him down a little bit. Not having Klay until the end of the season may be a little damper on their parade, but
and the only reason I'm taking the Bucks over the Sixers is because I think that you saw last year when the Sixers, they kind of that. When they were in the playoffs, they got kind of rattled once they got down. They not that they gave up, but I just feel like, maybe year 2 they'll come together more and, they experience that loss and now they're going to be better for it. But it's kind of disappointing. I thought they were moving on after they beat the Nets last year. I thought they were going to, advance to the conference finals.
Well, to me, it was whoever won that series was going to go into the finals. It was going to win the East clear cut. No offense to Giannis and the Bucks because they're a great team, but I had a feeling whoever was going to win that Raptors-Sixer game, which went 7 games, was going to eventually go on to the finals. Now, the thing with the Sixers going into the playoffs, their starting lineup of Butler, Tobias, JJ Redick, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid had only played, I want to say, 21 games together in the regular season.
Yeah.
So they didn't
not
have
really that chemistry.
They didn't have a lot. Exactly. They didn't get a chance to kind of just piece it together and see who had designated spots. So that was a little bit of rain on their parade. But hopefully this off-season training camp, going into preseason, going into the regular season, they can kind of just figure it out. Brett Brown gets that offensive down, and they can roll from there. But let's move back to NFL now. You ready?
Yes. What do you want to do? Power rankings?
Let's talk a little bit of Antonio Brown real quick.
Yeah, let's.
Because this
I was kind of avoiding it, but let's
kind of have no other option but to talk a little Antonio Brown here. So I got a little bit of a timeline and we'll run through and just to kind of see how crazy this saga is. On March 13th, sidebar, my birthday, Antonio Brown was introduced in Oakland after being acquired in a trade with Pittsburgh for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. July 25th is when he came out with a frostbite on the bottom of his feet. July 26th, the day after he came out with the frostbite, he took a hot air balloon ride at dawn over wine country to kick off training camp, but his later place in the non-football injury list. July 30th, Brown participates in his first half of practice and puts on a show. But then, August 15th, he's at a scene in warm-ups, but doesn't actually play against Arizona. And then come August 18th, it's his filing his first grievance. Moving on, he is pretty much just playing the Oakland. I can go all day with the timeline, but he pretty much just playing the Oakland Raiders at the end of the day. He's just kind of postponing.
Helmet, feet, whatever it is.
August 25th, he loses his second grievance to wear his old helmet, so he's still not playing during this time. September 4th, Brown is posts on Instagram that of the letter he was sent from Mike Mack for being fined $40,000. Into the next day, where he then goes after Mike Mayock and says, "I'm going to fight you," and all these expletive words. To then pretty much going to be the following day where he says Brown's back in the building and he has the emotional apology. Later that day, then he posted a 2-minute video of the phone conference with Gruden, pretty much saying like, you're a little bit of a whatever it was. I don't know what his mission was at that, but and then the following day he then posts, you're gonna piss a lot of people off. No way I play for them. No way I play for them again. So in that short span of time, he was playing the Raiders like a fiddle. I think he was playing chess while every other NFL team was playing checkers. He all along wanted to get on the Patriots, and the only way to get to that point was getting a trade from Steelers, because there's no way the Steelers are going to trade him to Pittsburgh. No. So go to a low-ranking team in the Oakland Raiders. All you got to do is just not show up. Oh! I went to a cryotherapy and I got a little frostbite on my feet. Oh, rats! I can't play this week.
Yeah.
Oh, damn! I don't want to wear that stupid helmet. Oh, rats! Okay, I guess I can't play this next month. I'm postponing a little longer. Let me say I file a second grievance against the NFL that I can't wear the helmet. This guy, I don't know if he's smart. I don't know if he's stupid. I don't know if he's mentally ill of some sort, or I don't know if he's just
be all three.
He might be all three, and now he's hanging out with the Brady bunch. He moved. I think he's sleeping in the pool room right now at the Brady house. So that's a whole ongoing saga. That.
So you think he had this all planned out?
Somewhat. At first, I was a little over the weekend before week 1. I was a little concerned of his mental health, but then after you hear a couple things
after I heard Gruden said he was playing, I was like, all right, whatever differences they had between Mayock and him, Gruden's playing that good cop, so he's trying to just relieve all the tension and just get ultimately Antonio Brown on the field. But I don't know. He got released at 2:00 and he was already on the Patriots by 5. I think that's
scripted.
Yeah.
There's no way that just happens. No way that just happens. I think he had this planned out all along, and
maybe he saw that
his part.
Didn't think the Raiders were going to be that good, and he was just like, I'm not going to waste my time. But to leave $29 million guaranteed dollars, that is ridiculous.
That's heavy. That is heavy. And he's playing for a vet.
At least play a season, get your money, and request a trade in the offseason. I think that was the most coward move. And then you're going to go join the best team in the NFL. Like, they don't even need Antonio Brown. They have Josh Gordon. They have Julian Edelman. They had
what's the other guy back there?
Philip Dorsett caught 2 touchdowns.
Exactly.
Tom Brady could throw to me and I'd get 2 touchdowns a game. Like, it's
simple as that. I know. And it was a low ball move. It was uncalled for. It was disrespectful to the NFL as a whole, because you try to do things the correct way. Now, I hate to say it, but I think NBA has a lot of influence on NFL players, because you've got a lot of buddy system, things going on there, and they see how quickly you can be traded and moved in NBA that it's like, oh heck, let's try to make that happen in the NFL.
And I think that's a lot to do, going back to last week's topic. A lot of this guaranteed money. All these NBA players. James Harden, 4-year, $280 million, whatever it was. NFL want that same money. They put their bodies on the line every week. Granted, the NBA season's a little longer, but the NFL is a physical sport.
Yeah.
You're not in the league for 16, 17, 18 years.
NFL, not for long.
You got to get your money while you can get it.
Yeah, no, you're not kidding. And that's.
But I think that the NBA is a big influence on all these NFL players now. You saw Julio Jones,
sit out until he got paid.
Week, and he got 3 years, $66 million, fully guaranteed. That's,
Well, it's $65 million. It was guaranteed at signing, essentially. Yeah. So you're pretty much playing the next however many years on $1 million. Yeah. And granted, it was all up front. It was front loaded in the deal. So what it breaks down to, I think Antonio Brown was just playing the fiddle, or he's playing us like a fiddle, or he makes it seem like he's got this big issue going on, but realistically, he just wanted out of Oakland.
I know, and as you could tell by the Sunday night game, the Patriots really needed him on the field. The passing attack looked a little weak when they won 33-3. So just ridiculous. It's like happened? the rich get richer. That's all it is.
You're not kidding. You know what I think happened? I think Antonio Brown met up with Derek Carr. They had their their little notepad, just a little catch, out in the Bay Area. Derek Carr's throwing the ball, a little behind Antonio Brown. Ran a couple routes. Antonio Brown's like, this ain't for me. This ain't for me, bro. I'm out. I'm gonna do everything I can to get out of this this sticky mess. And and in the process making everyone from Mike Mayock to John Gruden look bad.
Yeah, that's a thing too. It's Mike Mayock's the GM of that team, and you pretty much disrespect him. What choice did he have to release you?
Like you had to, and that's the unfortunate part.
And look at it, they won. So
and my hat's off to Oakland for doing that, for getting the W, against the Denver Broncos. I'm curious to see if Antonio Brown is even a staple or wrinkle in that offense, because he can just be average and it'll be absolutely fine. Like you said, you can get out there and get 2 touchdown passes.
How is his ego going to be if they're winning all these games and he has 4 catches for 40 yards?
His head's going to be blown up if he catches 4 catches for 10 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be blown up. Do you think this Patriot offense is better than that 2006 when they had Randy Moss and Tom Brady threw for 50 touchdowns? Close.
I mean, how can you argue?
It's close.
Look at the backfield with Sony Michel, James White, Rex Burkhead.
Mm-hmm.
Then you still got on the wide receivers. You can go on and on. AB. No, don't worry. They let Demaryius Thomas go. Don't worry. We'll just trade
Jets. Yeah.
We'll just trade him to the Jets because the Jets are crap, and we don't even care if we give him a decent receiver because they're not going to beat us anyway.
No,
so
of course not.
Yeah,
Little
trade. I think that was actually the first trade that Bill Belichick ever made with the Jets.
Is that right? Go figure.
I don't think they've ever traded before.
Bill Belichick's a methodical dude. He probably had that planned out.
Yeah.
Weeks.
Well, the 6th rounder that they got back in the 2021 draft, he'll be the next Brady, and then we'll see this.
Course.
Yeah, we'll see this all over again.
In the next 20 years, that we all have to live like this. That every time that even my team gets the AFC Championship, they get pummeled by the Patriots.
Yeah.
And Bill Belichick's gonna be the old man with the cane walking around up and down down the field.
Yeah.
Just cut off sweatshirts, screaming at everybody, but he's still gonna be winning. So more power to him. Robert Kraft's gonna be long gone, but Bill Belichick's gonna be 110 still doing it.
Brady will own the team by then.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I can see that happening too. It's the scary part. That's the scary part. Oh man. So let's move on from the AB because it gets my blood boiling just thinking about it. It's how the unfairness of the AFC and the NFL as a whole. So let's get into week 2 because this is where it gets to be fun, where we get to do our picks. You pick 3. So you pick 3, I pick 3. So the first pick I'm going to have this week, we're just going to pick 6. Pretty much you pick 3 random games. I pick 3 random games.
The results for last week.
Yeah, do that first.
I was abysmal 6-9-1, which we actually pushed on that Cardinals game. Thank you, Kyler Murray.
Yep.
So this week we're gonna do 3 games each, and then we're gonna pick a tiebreaker to see who's gonna do the best this week. So EB, I'll let you get into the first pick.
So the first pick I have is gonna be the Bills over the Giants. Bills got the week 1 win against the Jets. I know Josh Allen turned the ball over himself 4 times before the half was even over. Josh Allen looked very poised in the pocket. He was making some big throws. He was running when he had to. John Brown was catching the ball when he had to. He had a bunch of yards out there.
Easy to catch the ball when you have 20 yards of separation.
Well, that certainly helps. I mean, you can blame the Jets for that one. But I got the Jets winning over the Giants that 1 o'clock game. I'm sorry, that's what I meant. The Bills winning over the Giants in that week 2 game.
That's going to be an interesting one. Giants coming off that road loss in Dallas, finally home opener. You got to get the ball to Barkley more than 15, 11 times, whatever it was.
11, yeah.
You got to get him going. There was a couple of the 3rd and shorts that he wasn't even in the game. You're giving the ball to Wayne Goldman. I don't know.
Yeah, I know why.
I don't know why if you're trying to save Barkley's legs, but that's the best player on your team. Sterling Shepard's still questionable up in the air with that concussion. So if he goes down, you already don't have Golden Tate. Who is Eli Manning throwing the ball to?
Sure.
So,
yeah.
But stranger things have happened in MetLife, so we'll see what happens with that. My first pick of the week, I am going to go with the Seattle Seahawks on the road at Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is going to bounce back. It's going to be a close game. They got embarrassed on Sunday night. But I just think Russell Wilson, usually not that great on the road, but it's early in the season. He's used to playing at home, and, he kind of struggles in the cold weather, but I think, ultimately that the Steelers just got punched in their mouth, and I think they're going to take a real step back.
Yeah. Well, talk about getting a running back going. James Conner had 10 attempts for 21 yards, so it's averaging 2.1 yards per carry. At least Saquon in his 11 totes, he averaged 10 yards. So James Conner's got to get it going. Juju Smith-Schuster's got to get it going. Yeah, 78 yards is a nice chunk of yards, but you got to do a little bit more than that.
especially if Big Ben's throwing the ball down that whole game.
Yep.
You're expecting Juju to get 150 yards
Exactly.
at least.
Exactly. I can see Clowney stepping up, but the Steelers line is not horrible, so it's going to be a good game. I think that's going to be one of the closer games of the week. Funny enough, all the games you picked this week are very close games and close in contest. But yeah, I think the Steelers are going to win that game. So moving along here. Next game I pick is I gotta go with my Chargers. My Chargers over the Lions. I think Austin Eckler he's a monster. 3 touchdowns last week. I mean, come on. Phillip Rivers 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. I could see him passing a touchdown to Hunter Henry. I could see him passing a touchdown to Mike Williams. I can see him passing a touchdown to himself. The Lions I think are going to be a little butthurt about that last week tie. That they're going to kind of come out with a little more swagger, a little more pip in their step. But I don't trust Matt Stafford at all. And I got to go with my Chargers. I mean, Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram coming down the sides. I think that's a nasty, stingy defense all across the board. I think they're a high potent defense, let alone to go with a nice offense as well.
All right. I think the opposite, that they tied last week with the Cardinals and they know they should have beat that team. I think they come out with more fire this week.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Hawkinson looked like a stud last week.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, 6 catches for $131 and a touchdown. If you can get that passing game going, I know the Chargers defense is pretty good, but I think it's going to be a close game. Chargers typically play better on the road because they do 16 games a year.
On the road. And they got a game in Mexico City this year, and that's on the road, too.
With their soccer stadium there. But
Dignity Health Life.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Lions typically play pretty good at home, so we'll see if they can get the run game going, get the offense really flying, and, get that defense back on track.
Who do you got for your next pick?
I'm going with the Saints on the road versus the Rams. Even though the Rams won last week, they really didn't impress me that much. Goff looked a little shaky in the beginning. I know a lot of the receivers got catches for yards and stuff, but I think Carolina should have won that game. Cam Newton had a pretty poor performance. Thanks for picking him for MVP last week, but hopefully that's just a tough Rams defense that he faced week 1. But, last night, the Saints, they're my Super Bowl pick for the NFC. I think it's going to be the Chiefs and Saints. I just think that offense is just too high flying,
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with those Rams DBs, and if they can contain Aaron Donald, I think it's going to be a long night for the Rams.
I think Goff's got to do better. I think Goff's got to step it up because he only threw 186 yards, and he's got paid as to be the highest quarterback in the league. So he's got to step
that 114 guarantee. Come on.
Todd Gurley didn't have that quick step as he usually does. He looked a little. There was one play in particular that he had the first down, and it was like, bull rush that dude. It's you and one of the defenders. See if you can truck that dude and take it. But he ran straight for out of bounds because he didn't want to get hit. So
I think that's going to be the theme of this year.
I think you're right.
I think they're going to be monitoring him a lot.
Yep.
I think he's good for 15, 20 carries a game, but he's not going to be that Todd Gurley that's 30 rushes, $180 and 2 touchdowns every week. We're not going to see that anymore.
Not yet.
They're too afraid to use him.
Sure. You're not kidding. Next pick I have the Eagles upsetting the Falcons. I think Falcons were absolutely atrocious last week against the Vikings.
God, what a disappointment.
They're lucky they even got any points on the board in the second half there. It seemed like they were going to get shut out at one point.
The final score of that game, I think it was 26-14, but it might as well have been 26-0.
It might as well have because it was not looking like a good game. 28-12 was the final score. But Carson Wentz came out as we thought, kind of came back to his 2 years ago MVP candidate, in for the running, I guess you could say, where he had 3 touchdowns. I mean, don't get me wrong, they came out looking pretty poor, I guess you could say, as well against the Redskins of all teams.
Yeah.
But Carson Wentz didn't get flustered. He found Deshaun Jackson for a nice long touchdown. They were passing the ball, they were moving the ball around.
Touchdowns.
Two nice touchdowns. But there was the one first one that was like a real deep one. I mean, they were both deep, but that's just Deshaun Jackson's MO. I didn't like how they're holding Wentz back a little bit in the first half. Let that man, let him go. Yeah. Let him move around.
He's healthy now. Let him
get out. I thought they deferred to Darren Sproles a little too much. I thought they deferred to Jordan Howard a little too much. Which you got a great stable of running backs, so give it to him. But when the offense is stagnant, give it to Carson Wentz. Let him do his thing because he's gonna run. He's gonna be great. That's what he is.
I think I like the Falcons in this one. Home in the dome. Matty Ice does his thing there. Devontae Freeman last week, 5 carries for 19 yards, 3 catches for 12 yards, and a fumble.
Oof.
What is that? Granted, you were down 21-0 before you blinked, but you really got to get him going. I think Malik Jackson went on the IR today for the Eagles, so that's a big loss in their D-line. So I think, the Falcons can attack that run game and then open up that play action for Ridley and Julio over the top. Austin Hooper had a decent game last week. I think he caught 5-6 balls for about 80 yards, but like I said, Matty Ice in the dome, I like him. I think that this is going to be a close one, but I think the Falcons will squeak this one out.
Battle of the Birds. Who do you have for your Monday night game?
So that's 6 picks right now. So we each picked 3 games, and we're going to go down to this tiebreaker right now.
Monday night game, and what you're going to be at. So we expect to see, which by the way, everyone head to our Instagram at TEE_time_sports to catch all of Tommy's live feeding or news feeding into this game, because he'll be there in the flesh. Which are the Browns-Jets.
You're going to make me do it?
I'm going to make you do it. Who do you got in this Browns-Jet game? You're going to go with the Jets again?
Yeah.
Of course you are. How did I know that was going to happen? Only because you're going to pick the Jets all season. They're going to go 0-16. You're going to hate everything.
If they lose this week, I'll pick against them.
They're tanking for Tua.
I'll tell you what. If the Jets lose versus the Browns this week, won't pick them next week when they play the Pats.
Please, please. All right, that's absolutely fine.
Cool.
I'll pick the Jets that week, and they're going to win, and you'll just hate everything.
Yeah.
The Jets. Oof.
I mean, for 3 quarters, I think they looked like a pretty good football team.
They did.
Once Mosley came out with the injury, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the stadium and defense got deflated after that. Quinnen Williams was a non-factor. He came off with that sprained ankle, so he was in a walking boot. He's still questionable for this week.
He didn't get that 1.5 sacks like you predicted last week.
If he played a full game, he might have, because 4 turnovers in the first half, safety, all that.
Poor call. It's okay.
I think it just depends on the offense, really. I think Darnold might have been a little shell-shocked at first. Made a couple bad throws to Robbie Anderson off his back foot.
He had Robbie wide open a handful of times. He just overthrew him.
Yeah, Gase didn't really incorporate Ty Montgomery into the offense. Granted, Bell, I thought, first game back did really well. Caught the 2-point conversion and the touchdown. I think he had 75 yards on the ground.
Yep.
Just picked up Demaryius Thomas. I don't know if he's going to be ready for the game, but, that's a solid veteran receiver. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Browns. They were all hyped last week. We already said last week that they were overhyped. And the Titans proved that. Baker looked like shit. Excuse my language. But I don't know. Let's see how Freddie Kitchens, the rookie head coach, comes up and gets these guys fired up for this game, because if Odell's only problem is worrying about what he's wearing on his wrist, and
that's a bigger
issue
for the Cleveland Browns than it is the Jets.
Let's see, but you tell me why the Jets are going to lose.
Because it's the New York Jets.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
I know.
Across the board, I think every position wise, Browns have a better team. They have better wide receivers, better running back. Okay, Le'Veon. I'll take Le'Veon. But better tight ends. They got a better defensive line.
Do they have a better quarterback?
Quarterback? Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I would like to believe so. I mean, Baker Mayfield had an historic rookie season for the 8 games he played.
So who do you think finishes with better stats this season, Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold?
Lamar Jackson. Easy.
He's already got that.
All right, so we got a breaking news right now. We got a breaking news out of left field, and we got to get this vetted to just make sure this is an accurate.
Yep, Bleacher Report.
Okay, so breaking news. Patriot wide receiver Antonio Brown accused of 3 separate incidents of sexual assault and rape, according to federal lawsuit filed Tuesday. So the Antonio Brown saga continues. That is, I talk about a hot take. That is fresh off the press, everybody. That is a lot that's a tough pill to swallow. I don't know what's going on that end. Antonio Brown.
Does it ever end with this guy? Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. I'm like sweating just thinking about that. That's 3 separate filed lawsuits. Antonio Brown, get it together, man.
Well, if that's not karma for the Patriots, then I don't know what is.
That's like the Patriots staple right there, where they like to cheat, they like to take things that's not theirs, just to get a W. That's just no better way of looking at it.
Oh my gosh!
Wow, that is a wow.
Imagine he never plays a game
ever again.
He might not.
There's a good chance of it. Then again,
if Bill Belichick's the guy that we all know, this guy is gone tomorrow. Why keep this on the team?
Well, you don't want that on your team. And Bill Belichick's a lot more sensible than that. So I could see him kicking him off the team. And I hope he does. The fact that the Patriots even got him on the team in the first place got under my skin just because you don't need him. You're only doing it in spite of the rest of the league.
Do you think the Raiders knew something?
No, because he didn't all the actions that he did while he was on the Raiders were strictly because of the actions
Maybe
he
they
did on the-
knew something on the hush.
Yeah,
that
maybe. And
something
they decided to
would've been
release him. And they were like, oh, well, we don't think to hold on to him anymore. I don't know.
Wow.
That's
2 weeks in a row we got some breaking news on here.
great. Yeah, well, you know what? This is a good thing for us. So, you know what? I think that just about concludes week 2. I think we should go ahead and look to finish it off at that because that is quite the
Yeah, let's
quite the
check.
finisher.
Let's check back next week and see what Antonio Brown's done this time.
We just want to give a special thank you to Sono Entertainment and Recording Studios and our producer, BK, for helping us put the show together.
Yes. I also like to thank all the fans, views, listeners, subscribers. We really appreciate it. You know, week 2, keep listening. We're gonna keep coming with that good stuff. So
Get us at T_time_sports on Instagram. Thank you, everybody.
yay.
Adios.